Imagine this. You're a young girl living in the jungles of Los Angeles, California. You get in trouble at school and you know the consequences that you have to face once you go home, and you would much rather let it cool down before you decide to face these consequences. So you decide to leave home. A guy pulls up on the side and the window rolls down and he's smiling at you and he's asking you if you're okay. You say you're fine and you start to walk away, and mid-stride he offers to let you sit in the car until the rain stops. So you're cold and wet and you say, okay. Then you regain consciousness. You're waking up, your body is filled with pain. It feels like your insides are being ripped out of you. You try to scream and you can't, because every time that you try to, someone is hitting in your face repeatedly. And then you realize you've been kidnapped and you've been raped repeatedly by many different men. This was the first night that I was trafficked, and I was 12 years old.
It's a problem that impacts thousands of Angelenos, most of them women, many of them children. Today, the focus is on the fight against sex trafficking.
It is estimated that there are around 10,000 victims of sex trafficking here in the Los Angeles area. Southern California is a major hub for trafficking, and this is of U.S. citizens. So often it is believed that sex trafficking happens overseas, or only foreigners are trafficked into the United States, but this happens in our very own backyard.
How does the typical victim get pulled into this kind of activity?
The most common is a boyfriend. A boyfriend usually, goes about the regular courting, you're beautiful, I would like to get to know you better, and then something will change. And then that's when he will introduce trading sex for monies. The next thing that she knows, she's full-blown into sex trafficking. That is just one way. Or it could be that they come from a marginalized, poverty-stricken area and they are looking for money to take care of their family.
So the average age of a child coerced into modern-day slavery or sex trafficking is 13 years old. And as Tika mentioned, oftentimes these children, young boys and girls, come from family situations where either their relatives are also prostitutes or pimps, or are no longer available to them to protect them and to watch for them. So the kids are left to their own devices. And a lot of these young girls are looking for a father figure. And here comes a boy that's a couple years older than them and starts to groom them.
How difficult is it for victims to break away from this lifestyle?
It's incredibly difficult. Oftentimes, when one of our participants in the past, when she was actually able to escape, oftentimes they go right back. And there's that vicious cycle again. It is because they have been so mentally manipulated that they feel like that is their family. They know that they're getting beaten, but then they start to feel like that's just commonplace. They know that it doesn't feel right to sell themselves, but that's just commonplace.
As you work with the survivors, what is something that you did not know?
One thing that's shocking to me is that they don't understand that they are victims. And then I started to think about my own story. I did not find out that I was a victim of human trafficking or a victim of anything until I was 33 years old. So I started in the life at the age of 12, got out of the life at the age of 23, and now here I am at 33 years old, and someone's telling me that I was a victim and I wasn't a criminal. And that's what a lot of the victims think. They think that they're more of criminals because they're engaging in prostitution, not understanding that the grooming process and having someone over them is victimization.
Let's turn the conversation now to your organization and what you do.
So our organization, in the beginning, worked primarily with survivors of sex trafficking. We've now expanded our populations to include women at risk of trafficking. These populations include those that are formerly incarcerated, survivors of domestic violence and those that were previously homeless. And oftentimes our clients fit into every single category. So what we do at Two Wings, we offer a career development academy and a youth mentoring program.
I work as a crisis response case manager. I work very closely with LAPD in the stations, and when they're doing sting operations, I'm the one that's in the tanks talking to the girls, letting them know about our services, letting them know about the prostitution diversion program, about our connection with Two Wings, and being a living testimony of it. Going into Two Wings as a woman who wasn't really sure of her future, and now sitting on the board and letting them know about how amazing the program was.
Tell us a little bit more about the path to recovery and how long it can take.
The path to recovery, it's based off of the individual. What we consider successes could be something small for one client and something huge for another. It's just a matter of perception. For a client to come in who has been in the life for over 10 years, for her to stop being on the streets one day less, we celebrate that. For someone to get away from the prostitution part of it, we celebrate that. We look for what makes them feel good about themselves. As far as the Two Wings program, we ask them, what do you want? What do you want for your future? Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because we want to make sure that we are planting the seed for their own dreams and goals. It's not what we want, it's what the girls want.
What do you think we can do to change society's attitudes about sex trafficking?
Education. Before I started volunteering with Two Wings back in 2012, I didn't know that human trafficking or sex trafficking was a domestic issue. When I tell my friends what it is that I do, they didn't know. So it's still very much, and I think this term sex trafficking is still very much a new term that not everyone is aware of. So it's just having these conversations and spreading the word that it is very much a real domestic issue that we face.
People need to be more understanding. People need to be more empathetic. If they start to ask what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you, they will understand the stories behind these women, children, and also men and boys that have been victimized through human trafficking.